Welcome back to the channel. Today we got the brick nose, the 89 F250, 351 four-wheel drive, you know, long box, the way everything used to be. I'm going to be doing a few touch-ups on this. We need to replace the whole exhaust system, or at least part of it. You know, the part that's really rusted behind the muffler needs to be replaced, as well as doing a few touch-ups here and there. And then it definitely needs a rim job or a paint job on the rims. So we're going to be doing that in a blue and white. These rims have holes around them, and then the rivets, they're steel. Right now they're gray, they're 16-inch. They're pretty standard. But we're going to be doing that, maybe a blue pinstripe around it, making it look a little nicer on the cheap, the way it should be. The exhaust I got here is from Amazon, of course. I found their best rated one and said, you know, add to cart. So it is actually, it's not a 16 gauge thickness, but it's 18. But it was weird. The 18 gauge had better reviews as far as rust than the 16 gauge. So I'm like, well, I'll go with the 18 gauge. And it said it was easy to weld compared to the 16 gauge. Apparently had reviews saying it wasn't easy to weld. Whatever, I don't know. But it's mild steel because, well, one, it's a little cheaper and not much, but I mean, you can find pretty good stainless steel now for cheap. But a little cheaper, as well as the fact that I do not have stainless steel welding rod for the welder. So yeah, going with mild steel, gonna use the exhaust paint, you know, 2000 degree temp or whatever, put that on. That way it doesn't immediately rust. But we'll do that. We're gonna get the truck up on all fours, take the tires off, and then, you know, wire wheel them a little bit, sand them, maybe if I feel like it. No, we'll sand them. And then get painting those up. I think that'll really add a nice touch to the truck, or a big touch. And yeah, get the exhaust because it is rusted out in the back. I'll show you quick. It's just, it really kind of ruins the truck when you have this nice paint and then you have the tires that are all charred. The front tires are the worst, the rims actually, because the lug nuts, well, the front tires used to be on the back, you know, tire rotations and everything, but the lug nuts were so rusted on, I had to take the torch to it, and I didn't have the torch set right. I don't know if it was too much oxygen or something. I don't know what it was, but it kind of charred them. It left like carbon around it, and then you get the anti-seize smeared on the rim too. It really, I mean, it's not the best looking, so yeah, I'll show you that in the back where it's kind of rusted through. It just makes the whole truck seem a little less than it should be. So we need to fix those issues. I got the two boxes here. I don't think I'll have to use it all. Maybe make some hangers or whatever. Sitting on top of the seed tote for the soybeans, you know, because those weren't put away and it's early September. You know how it goes. So yeah, we're gonna get the truck up and I'll show you. It's pretty rusted out in the back. The other side is worse. This side's a little better, but the other side has terrible lighting. You can see it's, you know, it's rusted. These are steel. They're not aluminum, although American racing company makes some, I think they're called Outlaw 2s, which look pretty decent. They're cheap, and they're aluminum, but, you know, they're the old Chinese, Tsinghua, you know the deal. They're cheap is what I'm saying. Don't want to go too far. And I'll probably take these, I mean, I don't think they're worth trying to save, these lug nuts. I think I'd rather just paint them black, because my idea here is you got a blue pinstripe maybe running here or here around the whole thing, and then the rest is white, and then maybe these little rivets are blue too to add a nice touch. I think that's a good idea. And I'll show you in back here, the exhaust is pretty rusty. Again, I should have brought a flashlight, but rust hole there. There's another 3 rust holes going there. I was thinking about doing just like finding some cheap pipe and doing a side exit, but then this truck has 0 emissions. I deleted all of that. Oops, it was on accident. I swear, I didn't mean to do it. So the exhaust is extra smelly. So I don't think I want to be just dumping it out here, especially when I don't have AC and I have all the windows down when I'm stopping at the red light, and you just gotta breathe that in. So I'd rather keep it farther from the nose, right? So I am actually gonna go ahead and redo it. The muffler is about there. And then I'll probably just redo it for now after the muffler and then over the axle and then back here through the side. And I'll probably bring the exhaust back just a tiny bit farther. That way I can put mud flaps here and not worry about them melting, because that exhaust gets pretty hot. And I used to have mud flaps here. Guess what? They melted. Well, on this side, of course, not that side, because I don't have duals. And I'm going to keep the single exhaust coming out. I'll show you. This does not have a catalytic converter, which, you know, thumbs up in my opinion. You can see, I think this is, it's hard to see, but it looks like 2.5 inches coming from the manifolds, and then they meet here and they go into a 3-inch, and then they go into the muffler, a pretty small muffler, which I like. Don't want no muffler though, that's too loud. But I don't know what muffler this has, probably pretty generic, but it has a nice sound to it. And then the 3-inch goes back and out. That's probably what I'll do one day when I redo the whole thing from, you know, the muffler and forward. I'll still keep that similar design, but instead of 2.5 inches, I'll probably do 2 3-inches, and then they'll collect into the muffler. Or I can have some type of Y that collects them and then into the muffler. But either way, gotta jack this up quick. Or that's, I'm trying to do the, you know, the jack motion. There we go. That's, yeah, the jack, the floor jack. Come on. I almost forgot. I mean, it's common courtesy. If we're working on the truck, I should at least show you it. And show you it before, kind of what it looks like before we change those rims, before we paint them. Yeah, it's an 89. It's pretty clean, you know, for a Minnesota truck. This side looks better. It's a little bit hazy because we've been having some rain recently and it kind of gets water drops, but the reflection on the hood is pretty decent. This has 0 clear coat. This is a single stage paint job that I did about close to 2 years ago now. It's not perfect by any means. I mean, there's a little, hard to see on camera, but there's a dip there. And then this door is kind of out of adjustment, but it looks pretty good. A decent reflection, nice pinstriping. The other side is worse because I did a little bit of a little tip about, 2 years ago on 94, which is the reason why I repainted this, because I flipped it into the ditch on the interstate when it was really icy. I had it in 2-wheel drive. Clearly, that was a mistake. So that side looks better. This is the bad side. You can see see those, it's hard to, yeah, you can see it. It's kind of wavy there and beat. I didn't really do much body work. I just took some hammers and bang, 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 beat the dents out. You can really see it on the bottom here. How do you see that? I don't know, on the body line, you can see it's kind of beat there. Same for the doors a little bit. I mean, I did replace the doors, but these doors were already pretty dented up. But yeah, it still looks decent. Nice reflection. This side especially, very nice reflection. But it is most certainly not perfect. There's some paint imperfections you see there. But it's a decent looking truck. There's a little chip there. Mad about that. I don't know where it came from. So yeah, thought I should show you what it looks like, right, before we actually get to working on it. So I still have to get the truck up on all fours, take the wheels off, and start just cleaning them up. That'll be the first thing. So for these lug nuts here, these are the rear ones. They are very rusty. I sprayed some of this rust cutter on it. It really eats away at rust and actually converts it to its, I don't know what the scientific state is called, but it converts it to something that's not rust. I have used this before, it works really well. If something is super, super rusty and you spray a lot on, it can take a long time to dry, but this shouldn't take too long. I'm just gonna let these sit overnight. But it kind of turns, once it's done converting the rust, it kind of has a grayish, dry look to it. So I sprayed these. I'm going to spray the front ones too, because I'm going to paint these black in the morning. So yeah, I definitely recommend this for sure, this rust cutter stuff for any rusty project or anything that has rust. I mean, even if you live in the South, you should have this. It works great. So after this, I am going to start cleaning up those wheels, probably get the wire wheel on the die grinder or the angle grinder, and try and take most of that paint and rust off. You can probably tell because the audio quality, I'm guessing, is fairly poor, and that's because there's so many particles in here, but I'm not opening up the shop doors because there's so many mosquitoes that would fly in here, so I can't talk too long. But what's been working really well for these here is I'm just using an angle grinder with a wire wheel twisted, as well as a wire cup for certain areas. And I also have a small wire brush. And then you just blow it off after. This is the worst tire out of all of them, probably as far as rust and grime. I'm doing the back sides too. I'm cleaning those just because there's also just covered in surface rust and brake dust. I'm cleaning the backs, not as thoroughly. On the front, I'm making sure pretty much all the rust I can get is gone. And then definitely on the backs, but on the front too, to keep it from flash rusting. But on the back, since I don't get it perfect, you know, there's quite a bit of rust still on the backs, I spray some of that rust cutter that I showed you earlier on the rim. I did that to the 3 in the back. Those 3 are done. That works really, really well. I hope it should dry overnight. I'm going to do this one quick. And by morning we can sand and maybe paint, because I have to be gone tomorrow for almost the whole day, but I might be able to paint them in the morning yet. We'll see. But yeah, the dust is getting to me, so I got to mask up and get working on this, that's for sure. Well, I got the rims all primed up. I did the back sides already completely. I'm going to leave them in primer on the back. I have plenty. It's all scuffed up nice. Now on the front, of course, I taped them off. And I started with self-etching primer, which is this green color, because there's still a lot of bare metal on the rim. And then after that, once it gets a little more tacked up, then I put some regular primer on it, which is what you see over there. After this, I'm going to sand it to about 400 grit, I'm guessing, and then paint it white. Also, before I painted with primer, I sanded at about 150 grit, just to make sure everything would adhere nice, even though it would, because I had the wire wheel on it and made a lot of scratches for it. So yeah, it's looking good. Hopefully I can get some white paint on it. Also, I did end up, since I had that rust cutter on it, I let it sit on the rims for probably a day and a half, and then I scrubbed it off with a degreaser. I scrubbed all of that rust cutter off with a degreaser because it was kind of leaving like a sticky residue, and I wanted that to be gone. So that's what I did, and then I got to painting them right away so they wouldn't flash rust. Here are the wheels. I scuffed them with a maroon, not a Scotch-Brite, this is a Duragold, you know, it's 320 grit. I thought that was enough, I didn't have to go finer. I got them all painted white after that. These are on their second coats. That one is done, so I'm going to let these tack up a little bit more and then put a third coat just on a couple areas. Now I'm working on putting blue around the rivets, and I'll show you what I'm doing here. So I just got my foam brush here and some blue paint, and I'm just taking a little bit off the lid to start. I'm starting by just getting my base of the color down. I'm not getting it perfect to the edges of the rivet, and I'll just keep doing that all around. And then once these tack up a little bit, I'm going to go around and try and refine the edges the best I can on the rivets. And it'll be pretty hard to notice imperfections from a glance. Obviously, if you step right up to the rim, you'll probably be able to see problem areas. But for now, for this first round, I'm just trying to get the blue on most of it. And yeah, just a foam brush. Keep going at it. You could try some lacquer thinner too if you get any blue where you don't want. But if you do that, if you use a lacquer thinner and a rag to get some blue paint off, you want to make sure the white paint is really cured, probably for a day. Otherwise, you might run into issues of the white paint coming off with your rag. Well, you might. You probably will. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to all of these rims, and then I'll show you the final product here. Here is the final product for the rims. Look very nice. As you can see, I have the pinstriping going kind of on that outer, this outer part here, and because of that, it interferes with my wheel weight. So it's pretty much like that on every single rim other than this one. This one doesn't have a wheel weight on the outside. It goes all the way around, but it looks nice. Nice blue rivets. The blues are a little bit off, but it is what it is. Looks good. Making our way over to the interior side of things. You can't see, I've actually repainted these door cards, these door panels, and what else have I done to them? I've cleaned up all the holes. There used to be a lot of holes drilled in here. I reupholstered this down here too. I don't think you can see that, but I have the same fake leather stitching there. But I noticed my pedals in there are kind of getting a little rusty. I think it'd look nicer if they were touched up with some spray paint. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, make it look a little nicer. Really need to clean up the wiring down here. I mean, it is a mess. I'm going to try and zip tie this trailer brake wire out of the way for now. Or forever, more likely. All right, temporary permanent fix. I'm going to hit these with the wire brush just a little bit, get some of the scaly stuff off, and then I'll come through with some sandpaper probably. I think I can just take some of these off, the little pieces, yeah. Come with some 220 or maybe 400 grit sandpaper, smooth them out a little bit, and then I'll throw some paint on them. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, just trying to make it look a little better. Gas pedal's not that rusty. Just clutch pedal is the rustiest. The clutch pedal is out of a different truck, so that would make sense. But I'm gonna get some sandpaper on these. Every little bit in the interior counts. Start here with some 220. I think I'll probably just leave it at 220. I don't think I'm going to go up in the grit. I think I'm out of 400 actually. I have 600, but I mean, is that really necessary for a pedal? Probably not, right? So just keep on sanding. Then I'll probably shove some generic, rust reformer. Instantly converts rust to a protected, paintable surface. Well, in my opinion, I don't think you can ever just paint over rust and have the rust go away. I don't think that's how it works. I think you're just, you would be encapsulating the rust and making it rust faster. So, yeah, that's why I didn't paint my frame, because I knew I wouldn't be able to get all the rust gone. I, of course, went with a wire wheel and tried to get my frame the cleanest I could, but once I did get it clean, I sprayed it with, what is it? Is it wool wax? No, I used a wool wax gun, but I sprayed it with fluid film. I put some zinc in it too and mixed it up to make it black. I think you can also buy it black, but that works well, and it also kind of makes your frame look like it was painted, at least for the winter until it wears off. It's nice about fluid film too, and wool wax would be the same, just those sheep's wool protectant products. It's not like they're actually petroleum, it's a natural product, so you can even rinse your spray gun out with water, assuming that water isn't gonna be too, like grainy and filled with materials. Nothing like sanding. Alright. I mean, it really is these little things in your truck or car or whatever that quick, it's cheap, and it makes it look a whole lot better. So to do something like this and then repaint those wheels, put a new exhaust system on here, it all adds up quite nicely. Puppy dog sure does want to go outside, huh? Doesn't like staying in the shop. Me and my dad moved 2 bigger calves into the back of this Quonset, and then it goes outside and there's a pasture, you know, back there. And I don't quite know if he put hay in here because there's a gate closed behind here, so they're basically locked in and they're just bellowing. So I have to figure out what's going on here, maybe call him, because I don't think there's, well, no, they do have hay here. I'll show you. There's the hay. I don't know. Here's their little pen, and then they have that door that goes outside, and there's a fairly large pasture out there, but most of the pasture is closed off with a gate, so I don't know if it's supposed to be like that. I don't know. They have hay, though. They just seem kind of mad, but, you know. Well, since they do have hay in there, I'm guessing, well, it's kind of probably some nasty hay, but I'm guessing they're just crying because they just got weaned. These are 2 they were born like, I don't know, a month or maybe even 2 before the rest of the herd pretty much. So these calves are much older, so we had to separate them. They're not going to be with the other herd. I'm going to go ahead and open up this gate and they can run around in here if they want. Just going ahead and walking the pasture too, because I think down here by the road the fence is a little bit high because there used to be just a couple bulls in this pasture, not calves. So I'm gonna walk it, make sure they can't like sneak under it or over it somehow. Fence, you know, wraps around here, goes up to the shed. Seems to be good, so I'm gonna head back to painting them pedals. Before I actually go ahead and paint, I'm just gonna, you know, use some glass cleaner, clean it up, take some of that dust off and whatever else is here. It'll work. And then I am going to put a bunch of plastic and tape up everywhere because I don't want to get overspray all over my dash and doors and glass and myself. So if you're wondering, I think you can see this maybe right here. I have electrical tape on the parking brake. That's actually because there's a tiny little sensor that tells the truck if the parking brake is on or not. So what happens to me, well, before it would be happening, you would push the parking brake in, so you have the parking brake on, and then you go to leave, you release it, but it would not come up all the way because the cable or something isn't pulling hard enough, and basically your parking brake light would stay on 24/7. So what I did, I know this is temporary, at least for several years probably. I just put a nut where that sensor is under, and then I electrical taped it on quite a bit. I did it pretty far down because there's not a good place for you to tape around where the sensor actually is. You can't really get your fingers in around the pedal. So yeah, but it works, and you can't really notice it too much when you're up here driving. So yeah, clean this all up, then I'm gonna get to putting that plastic everywhere. So one of my favorite things for when you gotta, you know, put a bunch of plastic down or something that protects is you can get these plastic rolls with the tape on one side on Amazon really cheap. I mean, you can get 2 of these rolls and they last forever for like 15 bucks. I do like using the cardboard rolls more normally, just because you're not using plastic, but at the same time, this is so convenient and cheap that you have to have this too. I lost my box cutter. I don't know where that went, so I have to use this fat knife. Try and just put this plastic everywhere I can, pretty much. I hate when I spray paint something and then I find the overspray on something else 3 months later. So, as you can see here, I am not messing around about overspray. Okay, I don't want the black paint anywhere where it shouldn't be. I don't care if a little bit gets on the foam there for the firewall, but yeah, make sure everything's prepped nice. Well, as much as you want to do. You could, I think, actually take these pedals off if you wanted to. And the gas pedal's pretty easy. It's just a few bolts there, and then that little, you know, what do you call it? That line. Can't think of the name. That cable. Yeah, the cable on the top. So I know the gas pedal is easy to disconnect. I don't know. I don't think there's an easy way to disconnect these. When I put these brake and clutch pedal in here, I put the whole bracket in because I needed a manual transmission bracket, and I didn't see if there was an easy way just to take out the pedals. I don't quite think so. Same for the parking brake. Don't know about that. So I'm going to leave everything in, and then I'm going to hit it with the, instantly converts rust, whatever, which I think that'll be fine because there's a tiny bit of surface rust just here and there on these, if you see. I'm not going to get it perfect. I do have some rust converter, but I don't have it here in the shop. So I'm just gonna hit it with that, and then at the end I'll probably hit it with this glossier high performance enamel black, just to give it a nice look. Well, I was just about to paint these, and I realized I have to cover up the little pedals here on the parking brake and the gas pedal. I don't really want to paint those black. I could paint them if they were clean, but they're dirty, so I do not want that. So those pedals are painted now. This is actually about a week after, and I started driving it pretty much right after I painted it, so it probably wore off a little bit there on the clutch pedal maybe. It's really shiny yet. Can I get the lighting to show it's shiny? It's really shiny. It's too shiny. I actually should have used a different paint. But yeah, I just thought I should show you what that looks like there. I don't really see it actually wearing off, but it's really, really shiny. That's the final product of it. Adds a nice touch to the truck. After a year, I'm sure it'll kind of start to work its way in with the dirt and the grime and look more appropriate. All right, on to the last step of this little makeover. So yeah, we got the wheels painted up, we got those pedals painted, did some of that. Time to take the exhaust off here, so I'll show you what we're gonna do. The first thing, cut it off. We're not gonna do the entire system here because I don't have a muffler yet. I'm just gonna do the rustiest part, which is everything after the muffler that's on it. So I'm gonna cut that off and replace that. I'll get down there and show you what we got. We're replacing it with 3-inch exhaust, which is what is on it. Well, it's kind of like in between a 2.5 and a 3-inch, then it depends on the rust. But we're gonna replace it with a 3-inch exhaust. And I'm not doing stainless. Well, this didn't have stainless to begin with, but I'm not putting stainless on it because the welder here does not have a stainless steel welding rod. So it's gonna be mild steel, and we'll paint it black after. So I'll get down there, show you what's going on, and we're gonna slice that exhaust off. So this is what a guy is looking at down here. Let me get the flashlight that way a little bit. So you actually have a 2.5-inch exhaust, both pipes coming from the manifolds. They come here and they actually merge into this one singular 3-inch pipe. Comes to the muffler, which, is pretty far back here, or well, maybe right in the middle, a little bit farther back. Then it bends up a little bit, goes over the axle, and then out the side. So I'm going to cut it off here, and we are going to replace everything backwards, because if I were to show you, well, let me do that quick. There's a lot of rust in that. Only a tiny bit of material is holding that pipe on, so it could fall off pretty soon. It just looks bad. So yeah, we're going to replace this. First things first, cut this off. So as you see here, I cut the exhaust off, and my 3-inch pipe, okay, it has a flared end on that side to open up. So this is the small side, but still, this is way too big. That fits. I don't know what type of pipe came out of here. It was like 2 3/4 because it didn't look like quite 2 1/2, and apparently it's not 3. So I am going to actually take this off here. What I'm going to do is cut it probably about, yeah, I'm probably just going to cut it there on that seam, or maybe a little bit farther back, because the pipe will have to be about here. That'll be interesting as far as welding it goes. I'm guessing I can still kind of get it in here, but it'll be a little tougher, so we'll see what happens. Well, unfortunately, it is time. We have to start thinking about stuff now. Have to figure out a way to put this kit together. I do have another box just like this. I have 2 parts out of it right now, but I'm guessing we're going to have a straight pipe coming off of the muffler, cut it about like here, I'm just guessing. And then I'll probably have to utilize these. I'm going to cut this in half, and then I can cut it here or here. So the idea would be you put, let's just say you put this onto the straight piece coming out of the muffler, then you cut it here, then you can have a pipe going up, and then you can have it bend again to go over the axle. I think that's what I'm going to try. Oh man, time to get the welder fired up here. Let me get my ground on that. I got it cut to where about it should be. I'm gonna tack it, and then I'll mock up the rest, and then I'll weld it all later. This piece here, let me turn the camera so you can see. This piece here is gonna be welded onto the muffler here, and it's gonna be, I'm gonna tack it here for now. And then here, I'm actually going to have an exhaust clamp, just because I don't really want to have to worry about an exhaust clamp here, because I need this pipe to be out pretty far. I don't want to worry about it falling off, or if I were to ever take the exhaust clamp off to get the back exhaust pipe off, I wouldn't want to have to worry about getting it aligned perfectly here. So I'm going to have an exhaust clamp here, so there's going to be no weld here. So yeah, I need to tack that really quick. I've never welded exhaust pipe before, so I don't know what really to expect. Yeah, we're gonna find out, obviously. Let's see, probably turn it down medium low, I'm guessing. I don't know for sure. This is what, 16 gauge, 18 gauge? So I'm gonna do medium low now, just for attack. Oh, didn't plug it in. I was wondering, did I blow a fuse? Here we go. Should turn on now. There we go. Glove up, and we'll tack that really quick. We'll try about right there, because if I have it in too far, then the angle's not steep enough. So we probably want it right there. We'll try. A little too hot yet. Oh. Sounds like we're frying bacon though, so the settings must be pretty close. Let's try it again here. Yeah, that'll work as far as going to mock it up yet. And again, I can always cut these little spot welds off. Getting too many cords over here. I got an air hose, the welding, wire, and an electrical cord, and an extension cord. So getting to be a lot. Just got to watch where I put my feet. I did weld a couple more tacks on it, just because I wasn't too sure about just having one tack and then putting more exhaust pipes on the back. Thought it might break, so I tacked it a couple more times. Here, the thing is with this pipe right now, it's like this. Your muffler's on your right, okay? And then it comes up there, And let me set this down. What you have is basically something like this. Eventually this angle is going to be cut a little different, like to there instead. But anyways, muffler here, exhaust coming out, it's going to be clamped there. Well, the problem is this, where it goes over the axle, is just a little bit too far back for my liking. It's not perfectly in the center. Doesn't need to be perfectly in the center, but it's just a little bit too far back. So because of that, I'm going to cut about 1 inch or 2 off of this edge again that connects to the muffler, and that'll bring the whole thing back just a tiny bit. So I got that pipe welded on there. I painted it some black already. Don't want it to be rusting right away. Now the plan is, technically this exhaust is a little bit lower here than originally, because before it would come out here and then it would go up a little bit. Right there, it would go up a little bit, then it would come back, and then it would go over. Well, I'm not doing that little piece that just goes up a couple inches. So the hangers here, I ended up having to use the original hangers because the new ones that I bought are kind of too thick for this type of rubber bushing. So I took some rebar here and I cleaned these up a little bit right on the ends and just welded them. I have them in at an angle a little bit because these are too far apart really for where it should be compared to the exhaust pipe. The problem was before, since these were so far apart up here and they were still welded down here onto the pipe, the original pipe, well, usually one or the other hanger would be out of the rubber insulator and the other one would be in it still, but they wouldn't be in at the same time. So that's why I did this tiny piece of metal that went in a little bit. That way when I do go ahead and weld this new one on, both of those insulators should stay in the hanger. So the idea here, I guess I'm actually going to put the hangers on down here because that'll be easier because I don't know what length they need to be quite. I will cut them off about here. I'll cut them off with a die grinder, the ends of this rebar, and then I will try and hold this up to the position that I want, and then I'll tack it on with a welder. Well, my plans have changed slightly. I'm going to go ahead and just immediately tack this on to where I want, and then I can cut off the length of the rebar that I don't need later with the die grinder still, because it's angled out, it'll be easy to cut still. Oh, we'll see what that looks like. Doesn't really want to weld onto the pipe. Damn it. Whew. Yikes. Yeah, I'm just welding on the bar. Take my mask off, can't see anything. Yeah, that's not really working. Let's try again here. Getting weld right on top of my stomach there. Ooh, thanks. Well, it's on to an extent. Oh, man, can't see anything. There we go. Probably couldn't even hear me with my helmet on. All right, see how bad we messed up. All right. It's not bad, really. It's not bad. I think that'll work. If we just put this one next to it. Well, I don't know. I mean, how does a guy keep this in the place he wants? It's tough, I guess. Yeah, we're gonna have to cut that weld out. It's not really working the way I want it to. Nope. Okay. Yep. Time to cut it. So here's what that first part looks like. I painted the muffler for fun too. Let me get positioned here. So here you can see those hangers, how they kind of drop down. I ended up having to just weld this straight onto the muffler. My welds are not great, but they work. I've never welded exhaust before. And yeah, the hangers are good. They're in both insulators now, works well. The exhaust is going to be clamped on there, so it'll be removable after that bend right there, or this in the middle of the bend, I guess. Yeah, I got that all welded. Got this part all welded around. Now, back here, I have my, oh, I'm getting caught on zip ties here. I have my exhaust pipe kind of propped up. Now you can kind of see it goes over that axle quite a bit. It's a little bit close to the gas tank, but I think it'll be fine. The old one wasn't much different. And then it kind of cuts to the right a little bit because I had that pipe right there just a tiny bit too far left. But it cuts a little bit right, comes down, bends again, and then bends again. All these pieces are from my exhaust kit. I could probably leave a link in the description for it. I'm not affiliated with it in any way, but it's, you know, an Amazon Chinese exhaust kit. Mild steel. They also make a stainless version, but it's the best kit that I could find with the most pieces for the best price and the best reviews, because I think reviews are really important. A lot of people, you know, if you look at some, it might be a little like 10 bucks cheaper or even more expensive. For example, this is an 18 gauge exhaust system, and I would have assumed that a 16 gauge on Amazon would have been better than the 18 gauge on Amazon as far as rust issues for mild steel exhaust. Well, I was wrong. According to reviews, this 18 gauge will hold up better than a 16 gauge set that I was looking at, and it's less expensive. And it has better reviews, of course. So yeah, I can leave this. Makes things easy. You could probably even do an entire system with enough clamps and not have to weld anything if you had enough clamps. But obviously, I'm welding quite a bit. I'm only clamping one area. So it comes out here fairly flush. It's a tiny bit more straight on. Because obviously if you look, the bedside actually goes in, or yeah, it goes in a little bit, and the exhaust is close to following that. It's almost perfect with that angle that goes in a little bit on the bedside. But if anything, I don't even really care for that. I would rather have it not follow that angle and just be more a perfect straight out. But this will work. I'm going to get that tacked up now, and then we can weld it and we can take it out, then weld it. Well, we're going to go ahead and tack this up now. Move my light here. Try and put a couple tacks on each pipe here, and then we can take it out. Can't see nothing. Oh, missed it a little bit. Yeah, it's hard to see. I don't got much room and it's all dark down here. There. One more tack up top on this one probably. Think I got it? Yeah. All right. Moving to this one here now. Oh. I think it's kind of hard on the MIG welder. I still have some of that anti-rust coating. That's why it pops like that, I'm pretty sure. let's see, one left to tack right here. That should do it to get it out at least for now. Oh wait, no, we have one more on the end here. Wait, do we? Let's see. What? Oh, that's the zip tie. The zip tie made it look like there was a lip. All right, go ahead, shut the welder off. So I just tacked up the exhaust, you know. I was gonna take it out and weld up the entire thing, but before I do that, I think I am going to work on some exhaust hangers in the back, because the front piece that is finished, as you saw, I reused the current hanger system and then added those pieces of rebar down. But now I'm gonna have to add some new type of hangers. So I got two types, kind of. I have four like this, where you can either, put this on some type of piece of metal off frame, you can bolt it through, or you can weld this piece on, and then you can have it like this or like this. There's a few different ways you can have it, and then obviously weld this to your exhaust pipe. I also have these, just these pieces. I have a couple of these too, a few of these pieces, and I was thinking that I could use these parts to integrate them into some of the hangers that are already on there. I found out I can't really do that, just because these are a little too thick compared to the types of hangers that are on there. These are a little too thick for the insulators. I'm sure you could make them work, but I do have actually correct insulators. I don't know where I had the other one. Oh, here we go. Theoretically, you could put this insulator through a hanger like that, and then you could actually put another one through, and technically you could weld this somewhere and then weld this onto your exhaust pipe, but that kind of gets wonky, and then you have a lot of extra length. So the best way to do it, I think, is going to be incorporate it into my current hanger system, which is what I did on that first pipe, or use these. And if I'm somewhere where there is enough room for length like this, and of course I can cut part of it off, I could use these too, because these are nice and new. But I'm going to start with one of these over there, and I'll show you that. Oh, there we go. So I'm probably going to put two hangers on the back here. Hopefully you can see a little better now. I already have one of those that I showed you earlier, vice gripped on to the top of the frame here. I'm going to weld it up here. You can weld it into these bolt holes, and then I'm going to weld it onto the pipe, and then I can come back later and cut this extra length off. When I do that, I'm probably going to lift up on the exhaust just a tiny bit and then weld it on to the exhaust. I'm also going to have to figure out a way to support it back here as well. We'll see here, I'm guessing probably on this cross member. There is an old hanger type right here, but it's too close to the exhaust. It won't really work, because originally the old exhaust would swoop down and then come much lower. Well, now I have the exhaust much higher up in the air. I might wrap heat wrap, or what do you call it? The heat wrap stuff for exhaust. I might wrap that around right in this area, just because it's kind of close to the gas tank. I don't know. Or maybe I'll even put a heat shield. I have a heat shield from a 2002 Ford Explorer. So you never know when you need stuff like that. Yikes! I got some weld on me. Got to be careful on that frame rail since it's real dirty. I mean, I did clean it up with a grinder, but it's not perfect. That's for sure. I really should use some higher heat too. It's like it's, I don't know, something's like liquidy here when I weld. I don't, no clue. Woo! Hot. There must be a lot of anti-corrosion stuff in this hanger, I would think, or something. I don't know. Yep. All right. Maybe put one tack in this bolt hole too. Tack it on the outside here. Woo. Yeah. Dangerous. I'm guessing part of the reason why it's smoking and oozing and getting liquidy is because I have an undercoating on this truck. That's probably a big reason. Well, gonna be honest with the guy. We messed up a little bit. I was planning on putting 2 hangers on this piece, so you know it's all tacked. But as you see, I had to cut that one off, and I'll show you the reason. You live, you learn, and I guess the best teaching is through experience. But I put this hanger on like this, you know, so it's coming out that way. But then this hanger was coming out this way. So what ended up happening is you couldn't really get the exhaust off because you wanted to get this hanger out this way, and then you wanted to get this hanger out that way, and it was just kind of it was a tough thing to do, and if I had to mess with it in the future, I know I'd really hate it. So I had to cut this off. So I got that, it was about here, the hanger off that was the opposite way, or not the opposite way, but the wrong way, you know, 90 degrees turned. I took that off, ground it down a little bit. Now I'm going to actually start welding all of these up, and then I will put that last hanger on with this exhaust on the truck already. So I got to flip the welder on here. Probably have to play with my settings a little bit, but we'll see. Pretty good. So these welds are not perfect, but you know, they're not bad for the first time welding on pipe like this. And I don't really weld pipe in general. Could be worse. It's time to put this system in and weld a hanger about here. I probably shouldn't have painted that. I realize that now. But we're going to go ahead and put this under and figure out how we want to put on the hanger. Now I got the hangers all positioned. Everything's good underneath the truck now. I did this once already. This is some degreaser. I believe it's Super Clean. Yeah, it's diluted with some water. I did this once already, but I want to make sure this pipe is clean relatively before I spray paint it. So I'm gonna clean this up real quick, and then I'll use whatever high heat primer that I have left. I don't have much. And then after that, I'll just put plain paint on. And if it comes off, I can go back later and maybe scuff it and then use high heat primer on the whole thing. I'll have to see how this turns out. Now for the primer, I barely have any left. I've been using it here and there. I only had probably 1/8 of a can. I've been putting it over the welds. It's a 2000 degree Fahrenheit heat resistant primer. I've used this on my manifolds and it seems to work well. And then also I have this Rust-Oleum high heat ceramic coating, which pretty much all high heat black paints seem to have a ceramic coating. Again, up to 2000, gas and oil resistant. I did not use this on my exhaust manifolds. I actually used, oh, what was the can? I can't think of it now. The other can that I used was VHT, high temperature, up to 2000, flame-proof header paint, but it would work for pretty much any exhaust paint, I would think. I've yet to find out which is cheaper. I forget, which is better. I do forget which one is cheaper though. I don't quite remember. I think the Rust-Oleum might have been a little cheaper, but I can't remember. So I'll have to see how they hold up. Obviously, I don't really have any of this stuff on the exhaust pipes. I have a little bit of it on part of it, but I have to say when I was painting the exhaust pipe right after the muffler, I tried to use this and I used it for a few passes, and then the nozzle quit working. So I like this nozzle a little more, especially for when you're having to spray like up. I think this Rust-Oleum nozzle is much better, but I'm gonna get this sprayed up and we'll throw it under the truck. Well, it's time we put the exhaust in now. It's pretty dry. Oh. Should be in all the way. Now, getting it in these hangers is a little tricky, can't lie. One's in here on the left, kind of. And if you're wondering why there's red electrical tape around these insulators that I have welded on, is because the rubber in them, when I weld around it, when I weld too close to it, kind of gets hot, heats up, and tries to push out. So I wanted to make sure they wouldn't come out in the future. That was the idea, at least. Come on now, get in there. I hate exhaust hangers. Oh. That one's in good. This one was in, but I took it out for whatever reason because I thought I could angle it differently. How wrong was I? There. Stay. All right, both of them are in. Oh, if they could. Probably gonna try and... I guess I do have a really big channel ox. I might do that. Unless I can just push hard enough. Get these through. I don't know. I'm gonna grab that big channel ox. There we go. Work these in. They went in considerably already. Can we get them all the way? That one's pretty far in. Wonder if I can just push them in now. There we go. That's near all the way in on that top one. This one is all the way in now, and this one got pushed in a little bit too on this way. So, well, I think is that it? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's through all the way, both of them. Perfect. Exhaust hung. Don't mind the welds here. I almost should have used a stick welder down here because I couldn't get the frame very clean. Yeah. So, good thing is I'm the only one who comes underneath the truck to look at it. So nobody's going to be seeing that. Alright, the last thing to do under here is put an exhaust clamp on, or two. Really, I think I only need one. The original system had about three, not kidding you, three exhaust clamps. Man, where was it? It was somewhere in here. There's three of them. And one of them was so rusted, obviously it busted when I was taking it off for, I think when I was dropping my rear fuel tank, because, well, it's a Ford, you're going to need to do that at some point. I just realized I have my nice hat on. Probably going to change this out quick before it gets much dirtier. Alright, back we are. I believe this is a stainless clamp. I could put this in the description, but I mean, just look at it. Look one up. This is a really good reviewed one for a, I don't know, this was probably like, for stainless, I think this might have been like $10, to be honest, but supposedly it's really good. I don't think I need two. I really don't. I think one would be enough, honestly. I do have two if I need it, but... Oh, come on now. There we go. If I could get this through, that'd be appreciated. Please. Please and thank you. Oh, well, okay. This is proving a little difficult. Well, how hard could it be to put a U-clamp through? I mean, what? Alright, what's going on here? Oh, Lord. Life, huh? Okay. Got that. I'm guessing it's not going through perfectly because it's on an area that's over 3 inches. Scientifically, I think. Because it's overlapping at this joint here. Oh, there, one of my lights turned off. That's fun. Wow. How in the world? Okay. Maybe we'll try the other one. Who knows? Might be a manufacturing mistake where they're just slightly off. Well, I can't even get this one on. I gotta take a look outside. Oh, it's almost like stuck in itself now. Okay, well, there we go. Come on. Hello? Let's make it work. Please. Please and thank you. Come on. Oh, come on now. I know you can do it. Jesus Christ. What in the world, man? I mean, how hard could it be? What? Like, alright. Do I have to, like, look up a tutorial on how to do this? I mean, what? It can't be that hard, right? Jesus Christ. Maybe let me put it on through where it's not doubled up. Would that work, at least, even? No. Well, why would it, right? Why would it? How in the hell? Oh, okay, yeah. There. Perfect. Huh. Wow. Didn't struggle for a minute. Alright. I have the Impact. I have a new one coming in the mail, a DeWalt, because most of my tools are DeWalt, actually. This Milwaukee is, I mean, I guess it still kind of works. Well, shop phone's ringing if you hear that. But, anyways, I was saying, yeah, this Milwaukee is on its last life. Obviously, it's a farm tool, so it gets used and abused every day. But it's probably only like, I don't know, can't be older than 4 years. Right? I can't remember. I know it's been around a while, but it's been around to the point where I remember it. You know what I mean? So, let's try this. gonna see what it feels like with a little ratchet really quick. I had it on its second impacting mode. I don't think I want to go to the third. Let's see here. Could definitely use some tightening yet. I'll probably just do it by hand here till it's snug, or more than snug, I guess, probably. There we go. Okay. Yeah. That's probably good. I don't think I'm going to go with the impact anymore. Especially if they were to work their way loose after being tightened down super hard, then I'll have like a big gouge kind of in the pipes that I don't want. So, grab my lights. One thing that's really useful, if you ever do any work on the concrete and you don't have a lift, but you do have cement, this little like tool caddy, or like a tool creeper, this was like must have been like 15 bucks at Harbor Freight. Works really well. Just pull it around with you. Well, just look at that. That's some lube oil that I had earlier. But it looks nice there. Coming out the back, it looks nice. We'll see how long it stays black. But it's fairly level here in the back. It does have a low point there, and then it comes up a little bit. But that's just the way things work out. It's a little bit farther back than the original pipe. Well, I don't know if it was original to the truck, but the pipe that was on it. It's a little bit farther back, and the reason I did that is because I am going to run mud flaps in the winter. I normally do, and in the spring. And if the exhaust pipe is too close to those, the exhaust will burn up the mud flaps. So I put it there. You can see has a nice angle to coming out the side. It angles slightly out, or it has a slight out angle, but technically, you know, looking at the bed, it does have that angle too. It's actually probably even less of an angle than the bed, which I like. I like it coming out more straight. I don't like a side thing. I think a side thing, yeah. If you have a side pipe coming out in front, I think that looks normal, but I don't really like the side pipe just going like this. You know, it's fine if you have duals coming straight out, but I don't really like a pipe that just kind of goes like that. But that's just me. So, yeah, truck's looking good. Well, this is the end of the video. I wanted to thank you guys for watching. It means a lot. I like doing these projects, and I like recording them, most importantly. So, truck's looking good. Tires are mint. Exhaust is, you know, halfway mint. Got the pedals painted. Really dulled the thing up a little bit. I don't like rusty exhaust hanging out the back, and it's dangling, and it's just not a great look. So I'm glad we could get this done. But yeah, that's going to be it. Like, subscribe, comment, whatever you think. Do you like the wheel choice? I do. Would you have painted it differently? You know, some things to consider, but I got a little bit to clean up here now. Yeah, then I got to get home. So better start cleaning up.